Apple. Apple, Dell, HP, Lenovo, ASUS, MSI. Today they all sell computers, but how they got here is way messier than it looks. It involves reverse-engineered machines, dorm room startups turning into global giants, government pressure, corporate betrayals, and one company selling its entire PC identity for $1.75 billion. So, it starts with the company everyone already has an opinion on, Apple. Founded in 1976 by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne, Apple began with Apple I, basically a circuit board you had to assemble yourself. Ronald Wayne sold his 10% stake for $800, a decision that haunts accountants to this day. Then came the Apple II in 1977, turning computers into actual consumer products instead of science fair projects. But the real shift came in 1984 with the Macintosh, which introduced the mouse and graphical interface to mainstream users through one of the most iconic ads ever. And yet, Apple still nearly collapsed in the 90s. They had less than 90 days of cash left and had lost over $1 billion the year before. Then Microsoft, of all companies, stepped in with a $150 million investment to keep them alive, which is still one of tech's weirdest plot twists given everything that came after. Apple then reinvented itself. iPod, iPhone, and Apple Silicon turned it into a full ecosystem company controlling hardware, software, and chips. I think the M1 launch in 2020 was the most underrated turning point in modern computing. Apple basically told Intel, we'll handle it from here, and the industry still hasn't fully recovered from that. That's what makes Apple different. Everything works together, and everything is slightly harder to fix on purpose. Premium, polished, and occasionally makes you question why a charging cable costs as much as a meal. And while Apple was building personal computing for creatives, the business world was waiting for something bigger to make it all official. That company was IBM. IBM and Compaq. And unlike the startups around it, IBM wasn't some scrappy new tech company. By the time it entered personal computing, IBM was already over 70 years old and basically synonymous with corporate technology. If a bank, government, or giant company needed computers in the 70s, IBM was usually involved somewhere. Then in 1981, IBM launched the IBM 5150, the machine that effectively defined what a PC even meant. It used an Intel 8088 processor running a 4.77 MHz with as little as 16 kilobytes of RAM, which today sounds less like a computer and more like a calculator fighting for its survival. But the important part wasn't the specs, it was the architecture. IBM made a surprisingly open design using off-the-shelf components instead of fully proprietary hardware. That decision changed the entire industry. Suddenly, other companies could build compatible machines around the same standard. And there's a second decision people forget. IBM let a small software company called Microsoft keep the licensing rights to the operating system. That detail comes back at the end of this video in the biggest way possible. Because 1 year later, in 1982, a company called Compaq showed up and decided to clone the IBM PC legally. Compaq started in Houston, sketched out on a placemat inside a pie shop. Somehow the most American startup origin story possible. The real breakthrough was how they copied IBM's BIOS. Instead of stealing code directly, Compaq used clean room reverse engineering. One team studied IBM's BIOS and documented how it worked, while another team, who had never seen IBM's actual code, rewrote it from scratch. That single move shattered IBM's monopoly and created the entire PC clone industry. Then came the Compaq Portable, a 28-pound portable computer that technically could travel with you if you hated your spine. And somehow it worked. Compaq became the youngest company ever to enter the Fortune 500. So IBM built a standard, Compaq stole the keys, and together they accidentally created the modern PC industry. Because in 2002, HP acquired Compaq, and the story of HP starts in a garage that's now considered a historic landmark. HP. Founded in 1939 by Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard, HP began in a small Palo Alto garage that's now basically Silicon Valley's unofficial museum piece. The name came from a coin flip, Hewlett-Packard or Packard-Hewlett. One toss decided decades of branding. By the 1980s, HP entered PCs and built its reputation on reliable office machines, enterprise systems, and eventually printers, where they mastered the legendary business model of selling printers cheaply and recovering financially through ink cartridges later. Then came a huge turning point in 2002. HP acquired Compaq for $25 billion. It combined two major PC rivals into one giant company. and people immediately debated whether it was genius or chaos. Today, HP covers almost every segment of computing: Pavilion for consumers, EliteBook for business, and Omen for gaming. In 2015, it split into two companies: HP Inc. for PCs and printers, and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise for servers and enterprise systems. But HP's real legacy is cultural. It didn't invent the garage startup myth, it became it. Toshiba. The company dates back to 1875 as Tanaka Engineering Works in Japan, meaning it existed before airplanes, TVs, and before electricity was even normal in homes. Then in 1985, Toshiba dropped the T1100, widely considered the first mass-market laptop. It weighed around 9 pounds, used floppy disks, and had no hard drive. But it worked, and people actually bought it. The T1100 proved computers didn't have to live on desks anymore. Through the late 80s and 90s, Toshiba dominated laptops with satellite, portage, and Tegra lines, while also shaping key standards like TFT screens, CD-ROM drives, and lithium-ion batteries. A lot of what we call a normal laptop today started with them. Eventually, Toshiba faded from the PC spotlight. In 2018, its PC division was sold to Sharp, and the brand became Dynabook. So Toshiba's PC era is mostly gone. But every modern laptop still follows design ideas they helped define in 1985. And while Toshiba was making computers portable, someone else was about to change how they were sold entirely: Dell. In the 1980s, buying a computer was basically like buying a fridge. You went to a store, picked whatever was on the shelf, and hoped the specs made sense. No customization, no questions, just vibes and a warranty. Then Michael Dell showed up and basically asked, what if we just didn't do any of that? Dell started in 1984 from a University of Texas dorm room with about $1,000. Originally called PCs Limited, it became Dell Computer Corporation in 1988. But the real disruption was the model. Instead of selling pre-built machines through stores, Dell sold directly to customers. You picked your specs, ordered over the phone, later online, and Dell built the PC after you paid. This build-to-order system basically turned computer shopping into ordering a pizza. Except you could add extra RAM instead of extra cheese. It worked ridiculously well. By 1999, Dell was briefly the biggest PC seller in the world. Then came expansion mode. Alienware was acquired in 2006, giving Dell a foothold in gaming before RGB lighting became mandatory for all gamer aesthetics. In 2013, Michael Dell took the company private again in a $24.4 billion buyout, and later bought EMC for $67 billion. At the time, the biggest tech acquisition ever. Today, Dell covers everything: XPS for premium, Inspiron for consumers, Alienware for gaming, and Optiplex for offices. Michael Dell built a $100 billion empire by cutting out the middleman, and retail stores still haven't fully recovered from it. Quick question: what brand is the computer or phone you're watching this on right now? Drop it in the comments. And if these brand histories are actually clicking for you, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel. By the late 90s, Dell, HP, and Compaq dominated the PC world. But while America fought over brands, Taiwan was quietly becoming the manufacturing backbone of the entire industry. Acer. Acer was founded in Taiwan in 1976, the same year as Apple, but it took a completely different route. Originally called Multitech, it started with calculators and microprocessor training kits before rebranding to Acer in 1987. While Apple was chasing premium computing, Acer focused on something much simpler, and it worked very well. By the 2000s, Acer became the king of budget laptops. Schools, offices, students. If there was a slightly scratched laptop surviving on low battery and hope, it was probably an Acer. The company also expanded aggressively, buying Gateway in 2007 and Packard Bell in 2008 to grow in the US and Europe. Then came the twist. Acer, known for budget machines, suddenly entered gaming with the Predator line. Laptops with aggressive cooling systems and enough RGB lighting to guide airplanes at night. Today, Acer is still one of the biggest PC vendors. But some engineers didn't stop there. They left Acer and started a new company, one that would end up inside almost everyone else's computers: ASUS. ASUS was founded in 1989 by 4 former Acer engineers in Taipei, but it didn't start with laptops. It started with motherboards. And it still dominates that space today, meaning even if you don't own an ASUS laptop, there's a good chance something inside your PC came from them. The name comes from Pegasus, the winged horse, but they dropped the Peg so they'd show up earlier in alphabetically sorted lists. In 2007, ASUS launched the ePC and it accidentally kicked off the netbook era. Tiny laptops just powerful enough to run 3 Chrome tabs before begging for mercy. Then came gaming. ROG, Republic of Gamers, launched in 2006, basically defined modern gaming laptop aesthetics. Today, ASUS spans everything. ZenBook for MacBook rivals, ProArt for creators, and ROG for gamers who think RGB improves FPS. ASUS doesn't just build computers, they also build the parts inside everyone else's computers. And next comes a company that took that idea even further, MSI. While companies like Dell and HP treated gaming as just another product category, MSI decided to become gaming. Founded in 1986 in Taipei by 5 engineers, MSI originally built motherboards and graphics cards, and it still ranks among the world's top motherboard manufacturers today. But around 2010, the company made its identity shift very obvious. That's when MSI became recognizable. Aggressive cooling systems, sharp industrial designs, glowing keyboards, and the Red Dragon logo that basically signals, yes, this will sound like a jet engine under load. Unlike ASUS, which spreads across everything from office laptops to creator rigs, MSI stayed focused. It leaned heavily into gaming laptops, esports sponsorships, and enthusiast desktops instead of chasing the mainstream market. And that focus worked. MSI built its reputation on raw performance first, portability second, and battery life emotionally last. Today, the brand is deeply embedded in gaming culture. If you've watched an esports event, there's a good chance you've seen an MSI logo glowing in the background. But while Taiwan was becoming the engineering backbone of the PC industry, something even bigger was happening in mainland China. Because in 2005, a Chinese company bought one of the most iconic names in American computing history, Lenovo. For decades, IBM was basically synonymous with business computing. Then, in 2005, IBM sold its entire PC division, including the legendary ThinkPad line, to a Chinese company called Lenovo for $1.75 billion. At the time, it shocked the industry. Today, it looks like one of the smartest deals ever made. Lenovo actually started in 1984 in Beijing under the name Legend, originally distributing foreign computers before building its own hardware business. But buying IBM changed everything overnight. Suddenly, Lenovo inherited ThinkPad, one of the most respected laptop brands ever made. Black box design, unmatched keyboards, and the iconic red track point nub that refuses to die. And Lenovo didn't stop there. In 2014, it acquired IBM's x86 server business and Motorola Mobility from Google, expanding far beyond PCs. Today, Lenovo is the world's largest PC manufacturer by units sold. Its lineup covers everything: ThinkPad for business, IdeaPad for consumers, Legion for gaming, and Yoga for 2-in-1 systems that fold in ways the laptops from earlier in this video would consider witchcraft. IBM took the money, Lenovo took the throne. But Lenovo isn't the only Asian giant shaping modern computing, because the company that probably made the screen in your phone also builds a huge portion of the laptops you use every day: Samsung. Most people think of Samsung as a phone company, which is ironic because Samsung started in 1938 as a grocery trading business in Korea. From vegetables to semiconductor dominance, Samsung entered the PC market in the 1990s, but for a long time, its laptops stayed more regional compared to giants like Dell, HP, or Lenovo. But the real story isn't the laptops, it's what's inside them. Samsung is one of the world's largest manufacturers of RAM, SSDs, displays, and semiconductor components. Meaning there's a very high chance the laptop in front of you right now already contains Samsung hardware somewhere inside it. Open up almost any modern laptop and check the RAM and SSD labels. Even on a Dell, HP, or Lenovo, there's a strong chance Samsung's name is printed on at least one of those chips. In fact, Samsung often makes more money supplying components to other PC brands than selling its own computers. Its Galaxy Book lineup follows a familiar strategy: tight integration with Galaxy phones, tablets, and earbuds. Essentially, Samsung building its own ecosystem, similar to Apple's approach. And like Apple, Samsung benefits from vertical integration. The screen, storage, and memory in a device may all come from the same company designing the laptop itself. Even if you've never owned a Samsung laptop, Samsung might still be inside your current one. But the most politically complicated company in modern computing isn't Samsung. It's the one that ended up at the center of a global technology conflict: Huawei. Huawei was founded in 1987 in Shenzhen by Ren Zhengfei, a former military engineer. The company originally focused on telecom infrastructure and eventually became one of the largest telecommunications equipment providers in the world, meaning huge portions of global internet infrastructure ran through Huawei systems long before most consumers knew the name. Around 2016, Huawei entered the PC market with the MateBook lineup, and the hardware was genuinely competitive. Thin metal designs, strong battery life, high-quality displays, and premium build quality positioned it directly against laptops like the MacBook Air, often at lower prices. Then geopolitics changed everything. In 2019, the US government placed Huawei on the Entity List, restricting access to American software, chips, and key supply chain components. That meant limitations on Windows licensing, hardware production, and critical ecosystem support. The company responded by building its own ecosystem with Harmony OS. In China, Huawei remained strong. In the US and parts of Europe, availability and support became limited. The laptops weren't the problem, the politics were. Which brings us to the final company in this story, the one whose software quietly ran almost every computer we've covered so far, Microsoft. For most of its history, it wasn't actually a computer company, it was the company inside everyone else's computers. Founded in 1975 by Bill Gates and Paul Allen, Microsoft actually predates Apple by a year. But unlike Apple, IBM, or Dell, Microsoft didn't focus on building hardware. It focused on software, specifically the operating system that would eventually dominate the entire PC industry. And the turning point goes all the way back to IBM. In 1980, Microsoft licensed MS-DOS to IBM for the IBM 5150. That deal became one of the most important business decisions in tech history because Microsoft kept the rights to license DOS to other manufacturers too. So while IBM accidentally created the PC standard, Microsoft quietly became the software layer underneath the entire ecosystem. HP, Dell, Lenovo, ASUS, Acer, MSI. Almost every company in this video eventually depended on Windows somewhere in its lineup. Then in 2012, Microsoft changed strategy completely with the launch of Surface. After 37 years of mostly staying out of hardware, Microsoft suddenly started building its own premium PCs. And the Surface Pro ended up defining the modern detachable 2-in-1 category so effectively that almost every major laptop brand copied the design afterward. Today, Surface devices still hold a relatively small market share, but their influence is huge. They became Microsoft's way of showing manufacturers what Windows hardware should look like. Apple started the personal computer, IBM made it a standard, Compaq made it open, Toshiba made it portable, Dell made it custom, Taiwan made it cheap, Lenovo made it dominant, and Microsoft, quietly, made it all run. But before we fully wrap things up, there are a couple of brands that don't define the PC industry, yet quietly hold it together in the background. Honorable mentions. Gigabyte. Founded in Taiwan in 1986, the same year as MSI, Gigabyte became one of the biggest names in PC components, especially motherboards and graphics cards. Its Aorus brand pushed heavily into gaming laptops and peripherals. But compared to ASUS or MSI, Gigabyte stayed much stronger in the DIY PC world. Fujitsu. Founded in Japan in 1935, Fujitsu helped build some of Japan's earliest practical computers, including the Facom 100 in 1954. The company later expanded into PCs, enterprise systems, and telecom infrastructure, eventually forming Fujitsu Siemens in Europe during the 2000s. Today, Fujitsu laptops like the Lifebook still exist. Now, I'm curious, what brand is your current computer? Drop it in the comments. If this finally made the computer brand landscape make sense, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We break down confusing tech every week so you actually understand what you're using. Now, here's the thing. You just learned who makes computers. But every brand in this video was actually built on top of 5 distinct generations of computing technology, from 30-ton vacuum tube machines that filled entire rooms, to transistors, to integrated circuits, to the microprocessors that made personal computers possible, all the way to the AI hardware inside the laptop in front of you right now. That's exactly what we're covering next. Every computer generation explained. Click the video on screen right now, and I'll see you there.